What's up, everybody? This is GreyMan here. Hope everybody's doing well today. And today's topic we're going to dive into is 10 key self-reliance skills needed to survive. And it's best to practice them and learn them now. And the reason I say this is because you just never know what's around the corner. A lot of folks are consumed with what's transpiring in today's society here in the U.S. and abroad. So I find that these skills would be extremely necessary for whatever ends up happening and whatever transpires. So that being said, if you're new here, please do me a favor and subscribe. If you're a current subscriber, please hit that thumbs up button. It'd be truly appreciated. We want to kind of like hit this out the ballpark. You know, videos like this don't garner the attention they do as much as the more headline news. You know, the more I don't want to say fear mongering, but the more, you know, the world is ending and this is happening and stuff like that. But this is the meat and potatoes of survival. So hopefully you'll find extreme value out of this content and it'll make sense. And, you know, some people say, you know, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I just find this information to be extremely important. And my goal here is to, like I said, plant the seed. Plant the seed within you and folks that come across this video so that they can share information like this with others. All right, enough of me rambling. Let's go ahead and dive into this. So the first one is going to be finding food. Food is one of the most key components of life. The abilities to hunt, trap, and forage for food are essential survival skills. You know, many modern folks these days and age don't have these skills, and these skills are extremely an extreme necessity in order to survive. Being whatever the scenario may be, something as simple as a natural disaster, or something on a grand scale. Survival can come down to basically knowing how to find edible plants in the wilderness, being able to trap specific types of animals and hunt animals, and like I said, and how to fish and learning how to fish and doing it effectively. So that being said, we're going to dive into number 2, which is the other part of a key component to survival, is finding water. Water is basically essential to life. The early pioneers, they were extremely adept at finding water in the wilderness and digging wells and stuff like that. Also, learning to conserve water and capture rainwater, for their gardens and, for the animals that they have there, for their livestock and whatnot, were extremely important. So, learning stuff like how to purify water, how to, set up rain catchment systems, what tools you can use, and things like this are going to be an extreme important necessity. Learning different types of purification techniques, stuff as simple as boiling water, or using water filtration and stuff like that. All right, so kind of going into keeping in this frame of thought, we're going to dive into number 3, which is learning how to butcher. Butchering is another key essential skill. Hunting and trapping will be basically absolutely useless if you don't know what to do with the animal after you catch it. And this can be as simple, I say catch, but you guys get what I'm saying. I'm trying to be family friendly in regards to content like this. But it's not only dangerous to eat meat that has not been properly butchered, but it can be very wasteful as well. You want to use every aspect of the animal that you catch to be as most self-sufficient and as possible. How can I say this? Using every part of the animal is key. And there's going to be things that some people say that they may not, I don't want to eat that or eat this. But when it comes down to survival, you don't want to waste any part of that. In addition to, the animals, you can use stuff, as you've seen on probably survival shows, including you can use parts of animals like the skin, for leather, for clothing and shoes. People use, bladders, for pouches, fat for cooking, and you can use some of the bones and stuff for like tools and stuff like that, just like our ancestors did. So that being said, moving into number 4 is tracking. Tracking is a skill to me that has been lost over the ages, and it's extremely important. Because you have to find ways to how to track an animal, be it in the summertime or in the wintertime. Helping find these animals to hunt is going to be extremely important in the aspect of, like, identifying footprints, the tracks that they leave behind, identifying game trails and stuff like that as well. Learning where they live and where they sleep at, where they nest, whatever the case may be. You know, Animals can be extremely alert when it comes to smells around them and sounds around their environment. So being a good, tracker is also being silent and learning, directions of wind and what it means for you. And so, it gives you a better opportunity to come across those animals. So I find that, tracking is going to be extremely important and a necessary skill for you folks to learn. And when you're out in the wilderness, try to apply these skills. When you're going on a hike, you're going camping, maybe practice some of this stuff like that. If you need to, get a book, watch YouTube videos, whatever the case may be, to help you become more informed. All right, so that being said, and you're going to see how this all wraps together, which is what I really like about this list here. Number 5 is going to be navigation. When you're in the woods, depending on the situation or whatnot, navigating is extremely important. People say, well, I have a GPS and I have this and stuff like that. Yeah, GPS can only go so far as long as you have batteries, and it's nothing, let's say something like a coronal mass ejection or EMP or something of that nature. But learning how to use a compass, how to read a map, be it not just a generalized map, but also topographic maps, learning the terrain and how to navigate through those terrains and whatnot. But, proper use of a compass and maps and things like that are extremely, extremely important. Also, learning and understanding the patterns of the sun, the stars, the sky, and what all that means can be also extremely valuable. But so I think navigation is extremely important. Moving on to number 6, building a shelter. If you're forced out of your home or whatever location you're in, learning to build shelters can be extremely, extremely important. Because it's going to protect you from the elements. It's going to give you the comfort of somewhat of a protection from not only the elements but the animals, the surrounding things that can affect you, bugs and so on and so forth. Know what trees work best. Know how to use the tools that you have in your repertoire and how to use them effectively when building a shelter. And having the quality, durable tools is also a key component to that. Learning how to do lean-tos, learning how to take something from nothing and building into something. Learn your environment and what kind of shelters work best in those environments. So, like I said, all these different topics could technically be videos in themselves. And I hopefully this I want to say winter, but Florida, we don't really have a winter. But I hope to go out and do some of these things and show you some of the skills that I know and share them with you as well. All right, moving on to number 7. I had to pause the video for a second because I had an extremely important phone call come in, and then I did the whole rest of the video. Thought I had the video paused, and I did a whole video without recording. Anyways, continuing to number 7. Let's start this over. Can you start a fire? Number 7 is starting a fire. Starting a fire is another thing that's going to be extremely important, in any survival situation, and learning how to do so. Now, some folks are going to say, well, Grey, I have a lighter, I have matches, and stuff like that. But can you start a fire without a lighter or matches? It's truly it's a gratifying skill to know and to learn and to use, because if things were to go really sideways and the whole thing was to just go extremely SHTF, having stuff like ferrocerium rods would be extremely important for as long as you can. Also, learning how to use flint and steel, learning how to use, friction fires like bow drills and stuff like that. Also, there's things that you can use like quartz and stuff like that, and rocks and stuff like that to create spark. That's just a, like I said, just a generalization. But, creating fire is truly an essential skill to have. Just think about, the aspect of fire. You use it to cook. You use it to purify water, you use it for warmth, you also use it for a mental aspect, the elation that you get when you have a fire and how you feel when everybody's huddled around a fire. So fire is nothing to be ever underestimated when it comes to a survival skill and learning how to have a fire, learning how to make a fire in a wet environment, be it, rain, snow, whatever the case may be. So that's number 7. So moving on to number 8, and this, like I said, you're going to see how this all wraps into each other and everything kind of leads into each other. And I learned, I added this to the list because Mark over at Rolling Homestead brought this to my attention a while back, and I was like, you're absolutely right. So number 8 is going to be cooking over an open fire. And some people will be like, great, I barbecue all the time. So what I'm saying is going beyond that. And I apologize if you guys can hear the dogs acting a fool. But anyways, after you started the fire, it can do just more than, offer the warmth and the nice glow that it gives off. In a survival situation, you may use it to, like I said, to cook your food and to boil your water, and learning how to cook on the fire. Because let's say some people will get a piece of meat and you throw it in an open flame, and it burns the outside, but the inside's not even cooked. Learning how to use, Dutch ovens, cast iron pans and stuff like that. Also a great necessity if you have those options to you. But learning how to cook on just hot coals. Learning those skills on how to cook on hot coals can be so important as well. You know what I mean? If you've seen some survivalists out there, you can see how they cook and the way you want to let that fire simmer down and just have those nice, glowing coals to cook on. But, like I said, learning to cook over an open fire is another essential skill, and give it a try. Experiment with it. Play with that idea, and you'll see what I mean, how you'll see that this can be an important skill to know and to learn. All right, so let's jump into number 9. And, let's say you cannot, for some reason you cannot start a fire, and you have, you've tracked the animal, you've navigated to where these animals are, you've hunted, whatever the case may be, you got it all butchered up. Now what? You can't start a fire. So number 9 is going to be preserving food. Food preservation, super essential, key skill to self-sufficiency and survival. Basically back in the day, in the old pioneering days, it was feast or famine per se, and they learned how to make things last. Without modern adaptations of let's say refrigeration and certain means of cooking and preserving food. Learning how to use salt in the aspect of preserving meats, canning, drying, fermentation, all the different ways your environment around you that you can use to preserve food. Because what about if you get a big game kill and you're not going to eat that all at one time? How do you preserve it? Now this is a situation that I want to bring up. Some of you folks out there who are older may not have the strongest teeth, may have dentures or anything like that. So some people say, well, they'll make jerky out of the meat. Some folks need other options. It popped in my head because someone had written me an email about a video I did a while ago, and they're like, jerky's great now, but I can't eat it because I can't tear into it. So it made me think, there has to be other ways of food preservation for meat specifically for folks like this, because they're going to need protein as well. Other than that, like I said, salting meats, there's all different kinds of techniques, and like I said, I did a video on this as well. Moving on to number 10. Number 10, again, I want to touch back on the early pioneers, early settlers of America. When illness and disease hits, they didn't have modern medicine to rely on. They had an extensive knowledge of natural medicines. A lot of those folks practice, all the ancient technologies, ancient ways of, healing and using the plants around them. Using herbs, berries, roots, and all the different parts of the plants to make tonics, salves, poultices, tinctures, teas, and so on and so forth. And funny enough, modern research has shown the effectiveness, has proven the effectiveness of these natural and ancient remedies that folks used back then. And funny enough, even today, there's doctors out there that will recommend some of these stuff. Maybe not in public or on the boob tube, as they say, but behind closed doors, they'll recommend certain things when traditional medicine modern medicine, I should say, is not working for them, and to give them some other ideas. There's a lot of herbalists out there with great YouTube channels that I've learned a lot from. And like I said, if you decide to get into this, and you want to learn wild and medicinal plants, get the proper reading material for your area. Some people will just get one book, and the book will just be a generalized thing about the plants. So you want to get something that's more geared towards your area. Like me, I'm here in Florida, the southeast region of the United States, and I have books geared on that. I even have a book that's specifically for Florida and the medicinal edible plants that I have here locally, because what we eat or consume here may not be available in, let's say, Oregon or Wisconsin or Arizona, and so on and so forth, if you get what I'm saying. So make sure that whatever materials that you get for yourself to learn and go out on hikes, go out on camping trips, and go and hunt for these. Make it a game, have fun with it, learn these things, learn how to process them, learn how to turn them into tinctures and teas and whatnot. It'll be a very, very valuable asset to have in your mindset and your skill set. So that completes my top 10. Now, if you found value in this, please give this a thumbs up. And being that that you're here, I want to throw 3 bonus tips out there as well. Being that you've lasted this long and you've watched this video in its entirety, I may not be the most professional YouTuber out there, but I try to give the most relevant, most pertinent, most information I possibly can in the way that I know how to. So, bonus number 1 is going to be making what you need. And this can be stuff like soap, clothing, bags, all different types of things, candles. Learning some of these, I call old world techniques, can be extremely valuable. Some people are so used to this luxury of going to the store and buying everything they need. When you practice a skill like soap making or candle making and stuff like that, it's really cool to do something and make something out of nothing and turning it into something. It'll make you very proud of yourself, and also I think it's an enjoyable experience for the family and for other people that may be in your MAG, your mutual assistant group, to learn some of these skills. Having people with these skill sets can be tremendous, because the clothes that you have on your back a year from now may not be as well put together as they are now, especially if you're out there hiking and doing things and surviving and stuff like that. So learning, old school things, even like stuff like sewing and stuff like that are just so important. And just crafting, crafting, even learning how to craft your own tools, out of bone, out of wood. Some people know how to work metal, you know what I mean? I've seen people do some crazy things out there. Matter of fact, on the most recent series of Alone, Biko made a knife out of, I forget, well, he found a piece of metal and forged somewhat of a little knife out of it. But really cool stuff. So making what you need is bonus number 1. Another extremely important key skill. Bonus number 2 is going to be, trading and bartering. Building a network of people that you can trade and barter with, knowing the value of what you have, be it if you're going to be using stuff like, let's say teas, coffees, spices, alcohol, caffeine, kind of like how I did a video on the nicotine toothpicks, how valuable that can be, because, tobacco goes stale, and if you're not growing tobacco, the smokes that you have are only going to be around for so long, chewing tobacco. But these nicotine toothpicks, they're like 5 years, and I was just like highly impressed with the shelf life of something like that, and far beyond if you take it a little bit further. So if you haven't seen that video, check that out. Right, self-promotion per se, Gray. Where am I outside? Learning the value of your precious metals. If you have silver, gold, or whatever other materials, platinum, even copper, all the different types of metals out there. What is it worth to you if you happen to collect these things like that? What a 1/10 of an ounce of silver is, how many eggs is it worth, or is it worth a chicken, or is it an ounce of silver? You kind of get what I'm saying? So learning the skills of trading and bartering are very important as well, and I feel like that's a nice bonus to add to this video. And my final bonus number 3 is going to be making your own entertainment. Everybody is so used to the internet and gaming systems and just modern ways of entertaining themselves. Putting themselves in front of a TV. How many people read books these days? But remember the old skills. You'd have that great uncle or that grandfather that could just tell imaginative stories just off the top of his head. a storyteller. What a skill to have, storyteller. Getting the family around, let's say around a fire per se, and just having the ability to tell a story and to draw everybody in and entertain those folks and get their mind off what's really going on around them. If you have access or you know how to make even instruments, some people can use pots and pans and woods and buckets and stuff like that to make instruments, and bringing that music, that elation of just listening to someone sing, and music, and the instruments used in that, and bringing it all together and just kind of bringing that, that good time. Work on brain games like trivia and stuff like that. Be having the ability to come up with ideas to not only use trivia as a training technique or a learning technique, but to also have fun with. I like to do trivia when it comes to preparedness and throwing out questions, to my family members and friends, and saying, oh well, you're wrong. This is the right answer, and helping them learn, because by repetitiveness they're going to learn certain things. Things like drawing and painting, working with clay, learning to carve wood, you know what I mean? Knitting, sewing, needlepoint, all those kind of things like that. Things that to keep you occupied, and also that can become in handy, because if you look, and I like to reference Alone because it's one of my favorite shows in the aspect of survival, and learning some of the things that they use as techniques. Matter of fact, I had a conversation in my Discord, why I watch things like Alone and Naked and Afraid and other survival shows, but also stuff like, fictional stuff like The Walking Dead and other TV shows like that, because I like to analyze the show, watch what they go through, what they use to survive, and how the, situational things that they run into and how they deal with them. So it's like entertainment but educational at the same time. But back to, Alone, Clay, the winner of Alone Season 8, he made a... he carved some airplanes out of wood and put these together for his boys back home, which kept his mind off certain things, because when things are in a chaotic situation, your mind is run rampant, anxiety and depression and so many things like that. But if you can find things to keep you occupied outside of your daily tasks, by growing food or hunting or building shelters and whatnot, it's just a nice way to digress and relax a bit and get your mind off those things, as well as your family members or whoever else has happened to be around you. So again, that about wraps it up, man. This is GreyMan, and I hope you guys got some value out of this. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Share this with some friends and family. Spread the word. The channel is growing, so the message is getting out there, and I truly appreciate every single one of you folks that watch these videos in its entirety. Drop some comments below if anything that I may have missed, any techniques that you would add to something like this, any survival necessities that you find that might become, pertinent that I may have not covered in this. And also, if you get a chance, check out some of the other videos on my channel. I've had things about food preservation, skills that you might need in a shift scenario, all these different things I've covered, water filtration, solar reviews on certain products and stuff like that. Take a look at the channel beyond what you might see, let's say, on the Sunday Shift Report. And also, I have some great interviews out there. I had Dr. Arthur T. Bradley. He was a extreme. He's one of the nation's leaders in coronal mass ejections and EMPs. The interview that I did just as recently with Carly Fairchild, who's on season 3 and season 5 of Alone, where she experienced in 86 days out in the wilderness by herself with just 10 items. Great interviews, things that you guys should check out. Other than that, this is GreyMan. I'm out. I'll see you guys on a rebound. God bless and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.